Draft mode is the best way to acquire cards in Chrono CCG. Today, I'm going to break down how to play the mode and get specific on strategy to help you win all your drafts. Every card you select goes right into your collection, so it's worth it to rare draft legendaries if you see them. Now, you get your entry fee back as long as you get 7 wins, so let's work on strategy. What works in draft? The anatomy of a good draft deck starts with your 8 drops. At common rarity, there's only 2 cards in the game that are even really able to win the game properly, and those are Dinosaur and the Frank. These are going to be the main win cons that your opponent's going to have, and they're going to be the main win cons that you're going to have access to. Secondly, your deck is going to have answers to your opponent's 8 drops. Looking at common rarity units, the only big units are 5 and 6 drops, no 7 drops at all, and then these 2 8 drops. So the game really has an inflection point starting at turn 8, where we enter the late game. This is where games are won and lost in draft. The typical deck that I build has 3 to 4 of these 8 drops, 1 to 2 of these 5 to 6 drops, and the rest early game units and removal. I've also made a commons tier list that I've linked below, and we'll dive into a little bit more in depth later in the video, but for now I'm going to take you through a draft step by step. For this first selection, I'm going to take Zealot of the Hunt. It's an epic, and for the purposes of illustration that you can use this to build your collection, I'm going to go ahead and rare draft the card, even though I already own the full collection. Next we've got another epic, which I'm going to select. We've got another high rarity good card. And now we get to our first actual decision. All these cards are low rarity, commons and rares. In order to get 3 to 4 8 drops in your deck, you have to select them at quite a premium. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and select Lifesteal Colossus. So this next pack is not nearly as good. Destiny Ripper is probably also decent, Forest Recluse is decent, but I'm going to go with the Ironblood Elixir. The thing about Ironblood Elixir in draft is it's actually much worse than it is in constructed, because almost all removal is just hard removal. You're going to use Throw into the Sun and you're going to use Hush Now, and neither one of those care about the HP of the unit at all. We've got a Spark of Bounty here, which is a really nice win con. You typically want 1 to 2, 5 to 6 drops in your deck, and oftentimes you're going to be reaching for kind of middle of the road cards like this Frontline Juggernaut. So the fact that we have a Spark of Bounty that can fill that role and not have us be needing some like very mid card like Frontline Juggernaut is something we're pretty happy about. So our choice here is between Hush Now and Lifesteal Colossus. Hush Now is an important card, but I'm actually going to take the second Lifesteal Colossus because I know that we're going to need a lot of 8 drops. Like 3 to 4 is something that we're going to have to put a premium. Okay, so here's something that I was hoping would crop up, and that is our Divers situation. So there is a couple of different things you can do for Divers in draft, but the strongest and most consistent one that I found is Seeker of Truth, Holder of the Instruments. They're both common, so you end up getting them fairly consistently, and I picked them at a really high premium. So here we got Holder of Instruments, Seeker of Truth already. Now that we have that combo, I'm feeling a lot better about the deck already. We have our Divers situation, which is going to be our turn 1 and our turn 2 pretty much every game. So now we just have to focus on late game and removal. With that said, I'm going to grab an Unlocked Potential. It's unlikely to make the cut, but if we don't for some reason end up with enough 8 drops, you can run like 2 Dinosaurs and an Unlocked Potential, and it's like not terrible. Okay, Wake Up Prod is another card I was hoping to be able to talk about. Drawing cards in draft is actively bad for you. I'm so serious. All of the best removal is common rarity, which means you can consistently mill out your opponent if you just draft all the removal. You can play, if you don't happen to find a lot of win cons, just run a shit ton of removal, kill all their guys, and you will mill them out. So drawing cards is actively bad for you in draft. I've won a lot of games because my opponent just played too many draws. I'm going to take the Canine Adjutant here. This one, nothing much of note. I'm going to take the Skullwort and the Rapid Iteration. So next we've got Time Stop versus Focused Adaptation. I think Focused Adaptation is a little better in draft, but I'm going to stick to my illustration that you can just rare draft shit in draft and it'll be fine. I'm going to just go ahead and rare draft the Time Stop. Awakened Security System, another one it's not going to make the final cut in the deck. And if we really were trying to win this draft, we'd select the Dinosaur, but I'm so serious. You could just rare draft shit and it will work. We're taking Awakened Security System. So as much as I put a priority on getting a Holder of the Instruments as fast as possible so we can nail down the Diver situation, it's the Diver situation. We only need 1 copy. We can ignore it for the rest of the draft. Additionally, we already have our 5 to 6 drop situation pretty much sorted with the Zealot of the Hunt and Spark of Bounty, so we can ignore Frontline Juggernaut for this draft. So our real decision is between Red-Eyed Supplicant, Hidden Locust, and Frontline Fellowship. All of these cards are sort of mid. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Hidden Locust. Next, we finally got our first Toothy Pugilist. Toothy is an absolute staple in draft. It has just so many stats for the cost. Ridiculous card. Your opponent's gonna have this, you're gonna have this. It's just an insane card at common rarity. You definitely want multiples of this card. So we're deciding between Pressure Spike, Chaos Control, and Dinosaur. You've got only 2 copies of Gentle Frank so far, so I'm leaning towards Dinosaur. I wouldn't be super mad at you if you were to try to pick Pressure Spike in this spot, but my selection is going to be Dinosaur. Pit Dog is one I'm happy to talk about. This card is decent if you don't have Holder of the Instrument Seeker of Truth, but since our 1-drop, 2-drop situation is set every game, we're not going to need low drops at all. Like this Canine Adjutant we've already picked probably isn't even making the deck list. So on a pick like this, I'm going to probably go for Blood Bolt or Sunshock. My preference is typically Sunshock, but Blood Bolt's not far behind. Backhand is another great removal. Third Gentle Frank. Now I'm happy with my 8-drop situation. I can finally chill out on drafting late game. Destiny Ripper is a very cool card. It's got a 2-card combo with Muffle, both of which are common. A lot of people currently in draft are just playing a shit ton of Destiny Ripper and Muffle, which makes things like Sunshock and Backhand really valuable. I'm probably just going to run this as a 1x Destiny Ripper and not go crazy on muffling. Blood Bolt's a pretty good card. Frontline Juggernaut I'll probably won't use, but it is what it is. Go for the Heart is part of the starter deck, so you don't need to rare draft that one. I'm going to go for a Hush now, get some decent removal into the deck. Got another Hush now. I'm always happy to have multiples of this card. There's one time I drafted 4 copies of it, and that was a 7-0. Another Spark of Bounty, insane card in draft. It's one of these cards that demands removal, but is also hard to remove, so love that guy. Next, I'm going to go for an Out of Line. Out of Line is surprisingly premium in draft because there's such a limited pool of viable units that oftentimes you're just going to hit like 2 Dinosaurs with this or 2 Franks, and like you just get absurd value out of Out of Line. Since we set the timeline to the 1 true timeline on turn 1, oftentimes we will just have 1 true timeline active the whole game. There's not very many cards that are viable in draft that shift, so a card like Dog is usually pretty good. None of these cards look super good. I'm going to draft the Recall just in case, but it's unlikely we run any of these. Chattersmith is awesome when you have Holder of the Instrument Seeker of Truth. It's like it's the C to the ABC game plan, and if you have that 1-2 diver combo early in your draft, you're going to want to just load up on as many Shattersmiths as you can. Another Out of Line looks decent. Another Destiny Ripper seems okay. I might actually look for Cascading Serenity. Also looks pretty good. I'm not super convinced about it. I'm going to go for another Destiny Ripper probably. This pick is pretty useless. None of these are going to make the deck list. Cascading Serenity is decent. Alright, now for the interesting part. We got to build the deck list. Let's start with the start. We're going to put all the 8-drops in. We got 4 of them, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Next, we're putting in all the hard removal that can kill 8-drops. This is going to be Hush now, and it's going to be sort of Destiny Ripper. Additionally, we're going to throw in the early game removal. We're putting this. We're going to throw our divers. Let's throw the Shattersmith in there as well. Toothy Pugilist, of course, is making the deck list. Beating Heart, of course, is making the deck list. Let's run Out of Lines. Let's run this removal. Let's run this guy. Probably going to need to run the Ironblood Elixir just because there's not too much quality in this list. We'll run the Dog. We'll run the Canine Adjutant. I was hoping not to have to run them, but this deck is a little bit below average, I think. So now we're down to the end of the deck list. We've got Time Stop, we've got Cascading Serenity, we've got Hidden Locust. I'm going to knock over the Time Stop and instead play Hidden Locust and Cascading Serenity. Prayer of Rescue is decent, but I don't think we'll need it if we're running 2 Out of Line. Prayer of Rescue is something that is useful to protect, like you play Dinosaur on turn 8 and they Vengeance it. You just Prayer of Rescue the Dinosaur and you have it back again. This deck looks pretty good though. It's like a pretty average, like maybe close to average, maybe below average list. But it's definitely something that's going to get you 7 wins. There's no question about it. This is going 7. I've also whipped up a common tier list for anyone who's going through a draft and wants a little cheat sheet to look at what cards I consider good individually. Obviously everything is contextual, but as you're making your deck list, these are the ones that I tend to prioritize. Unusable are cards that I have yet to ever use, rarely usable. I could do them maybe once every 10 drafts. Sometimes is once every 3 to 4 drafts, and everything above that I play very regularly. And with that, I'll leave you with some gameplay of the draft that I just showed on camera building. Alright, homie. Got Fervent Follower Territorial Pack on the opponent. We're just going to keep an Iron Blood Elixir for now. Seems decent if they're going to try to attack the Seeker of Truth, or attack them with a Seeker of Truth. Seems decent to me. I would love to have evens in this kind of matchup to prevent Fervent Follower from popping off too hard, but we'll make it work with odds. Probably gonna have to pre-commit Iron Blood Elixir on turn 3. We'll see what happens. I mean, low-key we can just let this Fervent Follower cook and then silence it later. Like, it's not that big of a deal. What I would love to do is take a Truth and just never let it die with Iron Blood Elixir, but I think it's fine to just play it out and let them try to damage it. It might let them commit a little harder into this line because they could think that it protects their Fervent, when really their Fervent is never really an issue because of Destiny. So this is interesting. This is interesting. So they're letting me just attack the Fervent cold. They may try to protect it, but it's a really nice Iron Blood situation. Wow, okay. Whoa. That I did not expect. That I did not expect. Holy moly, okay. Damn, should I have pre-committed it? Give it a shot. Let's get this guy down before it gets a -1/-1 from never immortalizing. We're never shifting back to this timeline, so we might just live Abundant Growth forever. I wouldn't really be living in Abundant Growth permanently. We're gonna Spark a Bounty next turn and see if they just produce a hard removal or not. They're banking here, which probably means they are producing a hard removal. I mean, low-key, one thing I can do is just attack with a 6/6 and find out. Although, that said, this does give an extra point of attack. Or not attack, an extra point of health onto my Priestess. So it does allow it to kill the boof. And of course if they pass, then they just lose. They need to produce a removal immediately. And dealing 5 damage is not trivial. Often this is going to require a hard removal that would typically be used on an 8-drop. And in draft, a lot of what comes down to this turn 8 inflection point is your tempo coming in. So right now, I'm kind of coming downhill at them, producing threats and running to win the game, like on turn 5. And they're kind of forced to respond to me. They're gaining more HP on my mini about the second. They're forced to respond to me, which means that I'm going to be able to just play my 8-drops on curve, and they're going to be a little bit pressed for space. Okay, I don't hate this. We're going to be able to attack in probably like... I mean, so we're probably out of lining these 5/5s. Like this, maybe? Not really convinced by this one way or the other. Yeah, we're not really going to be able to heal it up at all. I think low-key it's always an attack, it's just a question of like how to handle it. Maybe like so? Yeah, in a world where this 3-drop just got buffed, like Shattersmith is a lot worse because people are randomly shifting out of the 1-true timeline. Like previously there was very, very little reason to ever shift out of 1-true timeline, but now there's like, it's very respectable to do so. Kinda interesting. We'll just let them attack and out of line if they challenge with a 5/5 and Venge if they... So maybe we're out of lining either way. I think we may actually out of either way. Well, I'm unconvinced. Like, What is this? -1 this round. Like I think I'm just gonna go with a Hush now, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. This is my personal belief that Nexus HP is very willy-nilly in a mode like Draft. Like, board state is kind of everything, so I'm gonna just make the play that preserves my board state and move on with my life. You can even just out of line cold. Probably something that I'm interested in here. I want to pass though. Maybe I should just out of line cold actually. Especially when my Nexus HP is a little bit low, like cold out of line is pretty fucking good. Like I might get forced into doing something a little bit awkward next turn, like rippering a dinosaur. Like there could be some awkwardness with the next turn based on me not out of lining these guys. Rip my 4-1, holy fuck. Useless ass guy. Let's... Well, it is healing it, I guess. Kill these dudes. This could be an interesting moment for something like a recall or a homecoming. I'm really mixing and matching my terminology between Runeterra terms and Chrono terms, but I'm a little suspicious of leaving this up. Like, I would sort of rather just trade everything. But only sort of. I think it's fine to not trade everything. Like, I'm coming into this with Dinosaur with single combat. Like, it's difficult for them to, like, really Goomba me. Well, I mean, they're holding up enough mana to kill the dino, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't play it. It's kind of an interesting guy. It's epic, so you don't see it very much in Draft, and it's also not, like, super good. But it maybe is... Nah, it's not even worth the removal, because I'm just going to challenge it with my Challenger. And the fact that we were able to shift back to one-shot timeline is pretty nice. Like, obviously losing our 3-drop for basically free is a little suspicious, but getting healing on the minion is going to be nice. Okay, that guy's fucking impossible to block. They're random epic. Yeah, I mean, notice how the opponent has, like, pulling out a bunch of epics out of their ass, and they're, like... The reason that they're doing good is because they had this common, and this common, and this common. It's not because of these epics, like... That much I can tell you. That's a little mysterious from the opponent's defense. Don't let it happen. That is pretty mysterious. Really, I'm curious why they did that. I'm actually lost as fuck, to be honest. Like, genuinely, Anyway, I think we're just gonna come downhill at them. We already spent a stability control from them, so now it's kind of time to put our foot on the gas, especially coming into turn 10 like this. Like, they can only remove 2 of our big guys if they use 2 spells. So it seems like a good moment to get everything put together. Let's do it like this. Why not? Kill their 6-drop. Like, you could argue that, oh, you can use the dino, level the dino, but we only have 1 copy of dino in the deck. Like, leveling dino is only really a concern where you have, like, 3 copies of it or something. Like, if our ratios were backwards and we had 2 dinos in the hand, I think I would play a little bit differently here. Let me make sure. Let me read this guy again and make sure I'm not killing myself. Yeah, it's while attacking. Also a candidate for Destiny Ripper if they decide to buff it or something. Yeah, one point of awkwardness is if they were to put like a Battle Fury onto this guy, we just have to like hush now and hope. Like, I guess the fact that they burned a focus adaptation is a pretty big win. Got a Cascading Serenity coming, like, we're not really in much danger. Ripper going crazy mode. It's immortalized, but it's a 2-2. Or is it a 1-1? Oh my god, it's a 1-1. Holy mogged. Yeah, I mean, now if they put a huge buff onto it, we could just chump block and Cascading Serenity and preserve our Hush Now. Like, preserving Hush Now for 8-drops is like another common thing you're gonna see in draft. Because like, the winner of the game is just gonna be whoever can keep their 8-drops on the board, unless there's like a massive tempo disadvantage from one side or the other. And this game was like even enough that we're gonna hope for just overwhelming them and running them out of removal. They're gonna match throwdowns and Hush Nows into our 8-drops, and we're just gonna produce 4 8-drops. Where it's gonna be difficult for them to beat. Let's go ahead and Trinity this. I think you can argue non-lethal was a little better, but only a little. I think now is time to just commit to the board and put the finishing touches on this one. Got it. Hush Now. Oftentimes you're going to want to use your removals on your defense turn and your 8-drops on your offense turn. How I often go about it. But out of line, this last out of line, I'm probably going to save to try to save like a big unit. Depending on how things go down. Just grab the guy that can possibly do something. Well, yeah, let's do it like that. I'm a little bit wanting to do it like this, actually. But I'm a little wary of this thing leveling up and stealing my units, so I'm gonna move like this. Like, level Traffic Conductor isn't gonna ever get to my 8-drops, but it's gonna be like everything else other than 8-drops, so I'd rather just not let that happen. Like, I don't want to be in a position to have to Hush Now on this thing or anything crazy like that. Now, of course, if they try to cookies, I do have out of line. Oh, I should have pulled the 1-1. That was a mistake. Oops. Yeah, and even though they're low, I'm not really interested in shifting out of the 1 true timeline. It's not really something that concerns me that they have like slightly higher Nexus HP than they should. Yeah, I'm gonna probably try to save out of line to like do something up that. Good draw. Good draw. Yeah, and they're kind of running out of cards as well. Noticeably, they have extra cards in their deck, so their quality is a little lower than it should be. They've got, yeah, 26 card size, or 26 deck size instead of our 24. I don't think there's very much reason to go over 24. People do it a lot, but I'm really not in favor. The only reason to go over 24 is if you have like a ridiculous amount of removal and you like genuinely want to win mill, which I've done before, but I've done it on a 24 card deck. Like, I don't think you need, even for a mill 1-con, I don't think you need anything more than 24 cards to play. What is happening here? Oh lord. Not about. I mean, like, Loki would just let it go and then play a Frank. Like, this is a little bit irrelevant. Like we just play Frank, like backhand this guy. Like I think we're totally chilling with this result. Backhand this guy. They can't really answer Frank on 5 mana, which means like uh they're in fucking trouble. They're in fucking trouble. I mean they've been in trouble, but let's just seal this one out. Yeah, when you're winning on board, oftentimes out of line is like a defensive anti-removal situation. I mean the same is true for constructed. Happens there too. GG and good luck in your drafts, y'all.